Gaby's asking, can you talk about control? Why do we control? And how to stop doing it?
The reason we control is because we don't know who we are. So we have a lot of fear. And if we control, we feel safe. And if we let go of the control, we feel vulnerable. And we have to allow ourselves to feel that. We have to let go of everything to do with the ego, because it's not our true essence. It's like the waves in front of the ocean. The ocean's there, still, trusting, constant, eternal. And the waves are forever changing. But the waves frighten us. And because we haven't anchored internally, we don't trust. We don't flow. We're always worrying about the future. Because we feel fragile. Once we start to let go of this control and go inside, we start to find this space that's so secure, so constant, and this is our true essence. It's love consciousness. And when we're anchored here, we start to trust that everything's unfolding exactly as it should. No matter how our heads perceive it. Because there's always this duality. There's always two poles, positive and negative. It's eternally like that within this experience. Everything's based in duality. And the minute we start to let go, we start to anchor in unity. And then we don't feel afraid. We just allow. And what happens when we allow? The suffering leaves. We suffer because we're afraid. And we control. It's exhausting, no? And clearly we can see we don't have any control.
Gonzalo is asking, he's a new student, and he's asking, I'm in this moment, I'm meditating. So how can I intertwine the unifications with the Isha system?
Well, when you unify, it covers the meditation. It's good just to unify and see the effects of that. But if you want to continue with the two things, do them at different times. But what you'll find is the unification starts to elevate your consciousness. The point of unification is to take out every aspect, that's not vibrating in a high frequency. So you can experience that all the time, not just when you're doing the practice. Because this vibration is within us. And you touch on it when you meditate, but you don't live there. So the facets elevate our consciousness so it can become a permanent experience. We use them with our eyes closed to move the stress. We use them with our eyes open to live in the present moment, to stop worrying about the future, and to be with ourselves. You know, we're always running ahead of ourselves, achieving, worrying, controlling. And when we start to use the facets, we start to be here now. And we start to perceive the most delicate aspects of life. This is why we do the witnessing. This is why we do the present moment awareness. Until we're always so present that we're perceiving everything in that moment.
Marco is asking, what is love? Is a magic word? Is an energy? Is a focus to change?
It's an energy. Everything's created by love. Everything's a creation of love. And within this human experience, we experience duality, but it's still made of love. Extreme fear is love, but it's a very low vibration. And we suffer in that vibration. So what's important? We have to elevate the vibration of love so we can live in joy, in peace, in trust. And this is the most important thing, to experience our true nature. And then we take it out into what I call the illusion, and we enjoy. We discover ourselves. We have thousands of different experiences. But we have to become the love, the highest vibration of our love. And then we give that. It's unconditional. And this is the greatest freedom. But it's an energy and an experience of beauty, compassion. It's like a miracle to live in love, because you can see everything with such a clarity. When we live in our heads, we don't have clarity. We see the world as we are. Our fears are projected. That's why it's so important to heal ourselves. And then we can start to see reality.
Marcelo is asking, I understand that we have to be focused in the now, in the today. But also it's very beautiful to plan the future and to accomplish that, and I love that challenge. Do you say that we have to stop doing that?
No. What I'm saying is, before you run a race, you train, no? You're in good condition. If your goal is to win the race, you just don't go to a race and run. There's a beginning. And the beginning with consciousness or with life is love of self. That means I am not looking for happiness. I don't think it's going to come through something I achieve. But when I have this experience, I can do everything 100% from a place of excellence. But as a game, not that achieving this will complete me. I'm already complete. So I can enjoy it. I can enjoy to run. I can enjoy to climb. I can enjoy to create. And it doesn't matter how that looks. It could be singing, dancing, business. It could be anything. We have so many options. The problem is when we're looking that what we do is fulfilling us, because it never will. And this is the illusion. When I have this, when I am the joy, everything's joyful. And you create so well because you're open. You're not full of fear. You're unlimited. So we always do everything back to front. And we need to start initially with what's important. And that's love of self. And the other thing you'll find, you can create, you can enjoy, but there's going to be a part of you that's so complete within yourself, you won't have these obsessions. Because we obsess because we're chasing happiness. When we have it, we go out and we give it.
Guille is asking, how can I let go and trust totally in whatever I am? I always felt afraid of being, and during a long time I invented a character to be accepted till I went into a depression. I want to give a big yes to life and to be free. How do I do that?
You have to find your immortality. You have to find something so permanent, so safe, that you're free to be you. And that's consciousness. Until you have this internal security, you're always looking for love externally. So there's conditions. You're not free to be yourself. Once you find this, you're just innocent. You're playful. You're real. And you're enjoying. So we have to start here. And catch yourself. Look at yourself. Speak the truth. Take off your masks. Be vulnerable. Say, you know, I'm afraid. Be real in the moment. And this illusion will disappear. Because it's not real. This fear isn't real. You'll see that the minute you confront it. And how do you confront it? You have to confront it with truth.
Maria Fernanda asked, I feel afraid of my future, financial future. I don't have my own house, and I feel a lot of anguish when I think in a close future, living in the poverty of retirement money. How to feel abundant and deserving it?
You know, I think firstly, you have to learn to start trusting. Because you've got this structure. In order to be secure, I have to have my own house. I have to have a certain amount of money. And you don't know what the future holds. You have to cultivate trust. Because everything can change in a heartbeat. And you don't know. There's nothing secure. There's nothing definite. There's nothing finite except for birth and death. You know you're going to die. You think that's real. So stop worrying and start focusing on expanding your consciousness and trusting, because you can create anything. And remember one thing, you've always had exactly what you need. Always. And this will never change. Don't focus on this idea.
Nyanya is asking, how not to be afraid of fear?
Confront it. Walk through it. Dissolve it. It's simple. It's not real. You know, I expanded my consciousness because I didn't want to live with fear. I didn't want anything external controlling me. I didn't want to feel that my happiness depended on something external, depended on approval, depended on how I looked, how successful I was, how many friends I had, if I was famous. It was exhausting because trying to sustain an illusion is so difficult. Love, consciousness, it floats. You don't have to hold it. It penetrates everything. It is everything. So once you have that, you have permanent security. And you have to look for that. And I know I keep saying the same thing, because the answer to life is simple. We've always been told these illusions. You know, when you get a career, when you have a family, when you get your children, when you have a car, when you have a house, when you have 2 houses, when you have a good retirement plan, then you're going to be happy. But most of you have that. Oh, it didn't make me really feel secure, because everything's fragile. The economies are collapsing at the moment. Apparently. Do you feel secure? I feel secure. Because I trust. I trust that this too will pass. And what I create in my life will always sustain me. Because I have that internally. This is what you need. This freedom.
Doña is asking, I finished a relationship where I suffer a lot. I can see it was a growth process, but I still keep resentment. How to change that?
You just have to let it go. You know, this is an expectation. I am resented because I have an expectation. And you can't have expectations. Expectations are the recipe for resentment. Because no one fulfills your expectations. And why should they? You have to fulfill your expectations. You have to be supporting yourself. And you say, oh, I could see it was for growth. But can you really see that? How can you be resented? You should be celebrating. Oh, what a great relationship. I grew so much. It was an absolute disaster. But look at me. I'm shining. I changed. That's how you should feel. So don't give me these words if they're not real. And listen to yourself. Let go. C'est la vie. The quicker you let go, the quicker you create something better. And then something better. You know, I learned this when I was 28. I was so attached to everything. And I lost everything. And the thing that I've noticed in life, everything keeps growing, expanding. But I had to let go of what I thought I had to have. And now that I'm old, I can see that I've created the same things, but they're different. The creation keeps growing. And the less attached I am to something, and I'm willing to evolve and change and listen and open and adapt, everything goes so much faster, so much more beautiful, so much more extraordinary. So put down the old like this. You don't need the old. You know, you go into people's houses and they've got all this rubbish in their house. They're cluttered. And we're attached to them. Oh, this was my great-great-grandfather's. And this was the this. And this was that. And it's all junk. But we want it so much. Because emotionally, we have to cling to something. This is why when someone dies, the families fight about what we're going to get. And they think that it's about the money. Or they think it's about the painting. Or they think it's about something else. But what it really is we're not willing to go in and really feel the loss and let go. On some level, if I have control. And that's why there's always these big dramas between the families and the resentment. It should be the opposite. Everything should be open, loving, supporting each other, giving to each other, allow the mourning process, but together. But people don't want to feel. They don't want to be vulnerable. They want to find something else to attach their fear to. And it's always the need to be right, no?
Leo, I'm observing myself thinking a lot in sex. And I say to myself, oh, well, this is part of my human experience. And I have to enjoy it. But at the same time, there is a voice that is telling me that it's becoming an obsession. And I have to stop that.
You know, any obsession is fanaticism, no? And we're just trying to escape ourselves. So we create all these fantasies in our heads and we obsess on them. And it's just an addiction. And when you see this, you need to go a bit deeper. And yes, sex is an aspect of our human experience. It's a wonderful aspect. But it's like everything. You know, chocolate's wonderful. But you can't just eat it all day. You know, there has to be other aspects to your life. So if you're obsessed with something, you're trying to escape yourself. And it doesn't matter what title it has. And you have to see this. You know, some people obsess about religion and go to war. See the violence in obsession. And go in. Go in. And find something beyond that.
Monica, there is a place where I don't feel chosen, I don't feel included, and become shut down. No? Now, stopping us now in the retreat, I can see this, and when I think the facet, it's like I surrender to consciousness and this energy transforms, and I go back to joy. What can you tell me about it?
Yeah, that separation is the protection of a child. And it's also the house of the victim, no? No one understands me. I don't fit in. And then we remove ourselves. And then we suffer that. And you're doing exactly the right thing. Because if you're mature, you have to do the opposite to what you've always done. So I see this behavior, how I feel like a victim, how I don't feel incorporated, and I have to go and incorporate myself. But firstly, I have to incorporate internally. You know, we must see our programs. We have to see our programs that push love away. And we have to walk towards them. And if you see something so clearly, change it. Know yourself. Write it down. I do this, I do this, I do this, and catch yourself. And go deep. And see, why do I do that? And heal it. And stop doing it. And whenever there's pressure, we always have these habits. And you have to go in to change them. Because you'll create them everywhere. And the only answer is to go in. I have to go in.
Pame, ask you to talk about expression, to express. She says, I'm very bad expressing, but I had a great experience. I express like from the depth of my soul, and the physical sensation it remained was if I lifted 5 kilos out of myself.
Well, we'll all run and express, no? By the end of the mega, we'll be like this. The thing is, we have such a resistance to move our rubbish. We're so attached to it. And it's like a wall that's in front of our hearts. And we have to open that. We have to take the wall down so we can be ourselves. So yes, you resist, you resist, you resist, and then you move the stress, and it's such a liberation. It's incredible, no? So imagine if you're doing it all the time. If you stop resisting, and every time you feel something, you just move it. You don't have to wait until it's here. Children do that. They move it all the time. And then they're joyful. They're back in the moment. And you have to learn to do that. But it's great. You know, most humans have so much resistance to express. And the beautiful thing about this online is we can do it at home. We can talk to a teacher in private and move, and we can practice, and it's wonderful. And then when we get into the meetings, we can be more vulnerable, but it's great, and it's part of the system. You have to move the stress.
Kata is asking, to let go is to choose the love, because sometimes it's super, super easy to let go of the thoughts and let them pass. But then they keep annoying, they come back and they don't disappear.
You know, to let go usually has an energetic appearance. Like you need to move something. But also, we have habitual thoughts. And they're all focused in suffering. And we have to see them for what they are. They're just thoughts. It's like when I take you witnessing. And the parrots, no? And they're and they just do it all the time. And sometimes it's very loud. And sometimes it's very soft. But we have to find a deeper place where we can sit and just watch this. But see the thoughts that we love to attach to. And what are those thoughts? They're the thoughts of the victim. And they always have the same voice. I'm not good enough. I'm not loved enough. And the list goes on, no? And you can see the energy of the victim. And this is what you have to catch. And you put the facets, you laugh, and let it go. And if you're a baby student, you need to feel it, move it, express, and let it go. And it will come back. And you'll feel it, move it, express, and let go. And until it loses its strength, no? And that's what's important. But the thoughts, they're more or less the same. There's always positive and negative. It's like that. This is how everything moves. The two polars. Always. Positive and negative. Positive and negative.
Maddie is asking, my husband started feeling unwell a few days ago. In addition to not feeling well, he is full of anxiety and fear. We are taking precautions for the virus and also taking care of him. I feel peaceful and very present, but he thinks I am not worried enough. Or is that I'm in denial, as he is thinking?
You know, the first thing humans have to see, why do we worry? Why? Because it makes us think if we worry, on some level, we have control. But do we? Does worrying change anything? No. Do we have control? No. It's a habit. I am worried about this. I am worried about that. Now, if you're anchored in consciousness, you take precautions and you get into the present moment and you let go. So I don't think you're in denial. I think you're doing the best thing for you. Because worrying is not good for your health. Stress is not good for your health. You need to surrender to the moment because we don't know what's going to happen. We just have to enjoy this moment. And it's so hard for humans. And when you tell people just enjoy this moment, you know, do things you never do. Enjoy what you can create. Learn something online. Do something you've never had the time to do. And just be there. And to focus on consciousness, it's like an obligatory, you know, you don't have a choice. Go in. And isn't it great? You don't have to do anything. And worrying just destroys this moment. So just keep doing what you're doing. And no, you're not negating. You're very aware of what's happening. But you're not suffering it. Because suffering is negating this moment.
Doris. Since I was a child, my father made me responsible of my brothers. Until today, I continue doing that. Thanks to this system, I went letting go slowly from my new perspective of life. But how can I show and teach this to my brothers as a new way of living? Do you think I will learn this in my 6 months?
Well, I think it's a great place, your 6 months. Because you're going to have to let go. Because you can't be controlling them. And if you keep controlling people, you make them codependent. So they don't flourish, they don't grow, and it's like you're stealing from them. You're not allowing them the possibility to be independent, to be the best of them. And you have to see this too. It's your attachment. You're saying it's my duty. But it's not. Each person is responsible unto themselves. You can give to them, but you have to allow them to have their own experience. So see your own attachment, and as you let go, they will change automatically. It's you that needs to change, not them. And in the 6 months, you'll learn how to let go. And you're not letting go of the love. You're letting go of the fear. You have to see that. Attachment is fear. It's not love. And it doesn't empower people. It keeps them there, under control, under my control. So let go.
Mabel is asking, can you talk about being a giver and when are the actions, till where go the actions of the giving? Is this a doing that we have to dedicate time?
You know, to give's natural. You know, it just happens in the moment. You're always given opportunities to give. It's not that you're on a crusade to give. You don't walk down the street looking who you can give to. But if you're just walking down the street, which you're not allowed to do, but normally, if you're walking down the street, you'll see many opportunities to give. And just give from your heart. Give from love. And it could be in any way. It could just be something as simple as asking someone, "Are you okay?" Be free. When you're present, all of this happens naturally. You don't even have to think about it. And that's the nature of love. Love feels so abundant, it gives. But it does it without thinking. So do that.
Gishe is asking, I cannot hug or show affection to my parents because since childhood my father was mistreating me physically and psychologically a lot. And my mother was treating me as if I had a mental difficulty. So how do I change this?
Oh, God. You know what? You have to let go. You know, everyone's got a drama with their parents. You know, we all have complaints. We all feel psychologically manipulated. Maybe yours is much worse. And that means you can be much greater. Everything we create in our lives creates who we are. And we're ready for everything. So firstly, you need to heal. Because, you know, obviously you've got so much resentment. You don't want to go and hug your father. And tampoco tu madre, you know. But you have to settle all these things internally. You have to heal it internally. Because these are now your judgments. You know, it's an interesting thing. Because when we're children, we believe everything. And always one thing can create our window. Our parents might say one thing when they're in a bad mood, when something's happening, when they're projecting onto you, and it's fixed. They could say 1,000 wonderful things, but we always believe that negative thing. And this is what marks us. This is what creates the fear. You know, my parents always told me how special I was. Always told me how much they loved me. But the minute they told me I was adopted, I shut down to everything. I wasn't open to receive love. So you can have these judgments, but you have to liberate them internally. You can't keep holding them as if they're real. And yes, maybe your father did manipulate you. Maybe he was physically violent with you. But you have to go beyond that. You have to go beyond that. So don't pressure yourself that you have to be hugging them or whatever. Just heal it. And then what comes naturally, comes naturally. And that's the only thing important, because it's real.